Spider-Man 2 finally comes out this year. It feels like Spider-Man 2018 came out last year, not even that long ago. It's been 5 years. That is crazy to say out loud. It has been 5 years since Spider-Man for PS4 came out. Incredible. This game has me hyped up like no other game has before. I played the hell out of Spider-Man 2018. I can't remember how many hours I put into it. I think it's over 200 or 300, including the remastered version that came out for my PlayStation 5. When I saw that they were doing a remaster for the 2018 version, I was so happy. I love playing that game. I just mess around in that game. I just swing around for fun. I've beaten it maybe 5 or 6 times. I'm not boasting or gloating here. I love the game very, very, very much, and I'm very, very excited for this one. I wanted to make a video kind of explaining what I am hoping to see, what I would love to see, my hopes, my dreams, my expectations, just kind of spitballing and throwing around some things that I would love to see in this game. Number 1, in no particular order, I hope that Peter has really cool new swinging tricks or animations, kind of like Miles does in his video game, the one that came out for PS5 and PS4 in 2020. I would love to see some new tricks, not just the standard backflip, front flip, side to side, and dive, kind of how we saw in the 2018 version for Peter Parker. I would love to see him have new animations. Like when Miles is swinging in the 2020 version of his game, you can kind of tie in different tricks together and then swing to create a different animation depending on the type of trick that you had just did. And it also changes depending on which trick you tie into a different trick. I thought that made swinging somehow so much more fun than the 2018 version. And I loved swinging around in the 2018 version. I'm just saying, if you add different animations and tricks, automatically, somehow I'm sucked in again. It's like I'm playing or swinging around for the first time again. Would love to see some new animations in Peter's own style rather than Miles' own style. And on top of that, love to see some new tricks for Miles. I wouldn't be completely disappointed if they copy and pasted the tricks from his game. They were pretty sick. But again, it's a new game, Spider-Man 2. Would love to see some extra things happen there. Speaking of some swinging, I would love to see some swinging customizable options. I'm talking about speed. I'm talking about different ways that he can get around, not just swinging or whipping on a web and tying to the right side of the building, whipping out another web, going to the left side. If anyone's ever played the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game that came out way back in 2014, I think, 2014, 2015, you can do some different types of swinging in that game where you could kind of whip one web out to a building to your right and whip another web out to your left and then kind of do the slingshot. That would be something that's really cool and that we could see expanded upon in Spider-Man 2. Just kind of different ways of swinging, getting around, different, not just tricks, but kind of swinging options. Like I mentioned, just that zip. It would be really cool to adjust the speed. Maybe as you level up, you can get faster and faster and faster. I know you do get a little bit faster in the 2018 version, but I'm talking about like Spider-Man 2 back in the day on the GameCube and PS2 speed. That'd be so fun. Just going insanely fast around the city, because the PS5 can handle that kind of speed. It can load in the city really fast because of that SSD. Maybe I was the only one that did this when the game came out, but like a slow-mo mode, when you're swinging, that way it just looks really, really cool. Whenever I was swinging, I would hold down L2, that way time would kind of slow down for me, and I could just kind of absorb everything that's happening around me while Spider-Man was diving. I'd like to see a slow-mo mode, maybe a slow-mo button, other than just holding the L2 trigger, because that does wear off after a little bit. I would love to also see maybe some more time of day or weather options. That way you can really tap into the photo mode. I used photo mode a crap ton when that game came out. I filled up my PlayStation 4 storage with just videos and photos of different suits of Spider-Man. With the daytime and weather options, you could really get some perfect customizable shots. Like you can make it foggy, not foggy, raining, heavy rain, light rain. Really go in all out with the weather options and time of day. Next up is the gadgets and fighting styles. The gadgets in Miles Morales, there was only about 4 of them. He did make up for it for actually being able to turn invisible and having his Venom Strike ability. That was really cool, to where you could hold L1 and press triangle and you could leap towards someone, jump on top of them, and beat them up, and then jump again and make them go even higher, and then do a Venom Punch or a Venom Slam. That was really, really cool. But for Peter, he really only has the gadgets. In the 2018 version, he had, I can't remember the exact number, like 8 gadgets, 12 gadgets, something like that. And that was really fun to use. But some different types of gadgets that weren't so overpowered, that would be something interesting to see. Maybe take away the gadgets completely and give him just 4 gadgets like they did in Miles Morales, and the rest of his abilities could just be using the symbiote. Maybe using a different type of fighting style. If anyone's ever played Ghost of Tsushima, he could have different stances. Maybe pressing left, right, up, down on the directional pad could change the fighting style that Spider-Man has. Not sure exactly how that would work, but that was something that really got me sucked into Ghost of Tsushima, was the different types of combat. It didn't really feel stale. When you approach different enemies, you could change your stance depending on the enemy you were facing. Since we're facing symbiotes and different types of villains, hopefully in this game, maybe there's some mini villains or some thugs, some not bosses that you face, that you have to use a different stance, symbiote, non-symbiote, to take them down. That would be really cool. That would get me sucked into combat even more than the original game did. Speaking of the symbiote.
Yes, we will.
Venom. That, oh my god, I am so excited to see Venom. I played so much of the Nintendo 64 Spider-Man game way back in the day on that little red cartridge. Everyone else had the PlayStation 1 game. I had the Nintendo 64 game. Seeing Venom in that game was kind of my first introduction to him, so my hype levels are insane right now to see him finally in this version of a Spider-Man game. I loved Insomniac's take on it, and seeing him being put in Spider-Man 2, I can't wait to see what they do with it. I want him to be more dark, kind of creepy, really feel like an alien, a freaking monster that you want to stay away from, that he hides in the shadows. Also, maybe a little bit of that teasing Peter Parker, like if he knew his identity, whether he is the Harry Osborn version of Venom or if he's Eddie Brock. I just want him to kind of somehow know Peter Parker's identity, because he would be one of the few people that do know it, in this universe at least. Should be very comfortable with him. Speaking of the original game, Spider-Man and Venom did team up towards the end of the game. Again, I'd like to see that in this game. Obviously make Venom a boss that you actually have to fight and overcome and chase, or he chases you. I would love for Venom to be a good villain for part of the game, but I would love to see them team up towards the end. Seeing them face, maybe Kraven is the main villain of this game, maybe he's not, maybe the Green Goblin is, whatever that main villain is. I want to see Venom, Spider-Man, and Miles all team up to take down that main villain. That would be a boss fight that would go down, and probably one of the best boss fights I've ever seen in a video game. Again, it's all speculation. I have no idea what's going to happen. Just, that would be really cool. With the symbiote, kind of expanding upon that, I would like to see some different types of kind of specialized swinging or takedowns for that symbiote suit. The symbiote with Peter Parker or even Miles, it makes them more aggressive. So maybe the takedowns that you use while you're using the symbiote, it will be more aggressive takedowns. It will be kind of takedowns that seem unnatural for Peter or Miles to use. They seem really aggressive, kind of too aggressive to where it's barely almost killing whoever they're facing. Just brutal, absolutely brutal. That would be cool. And swinging mechanics with a symbiote, but when you're swinging around, maybe you have more confidence than usual. Just something different. You can whenever you activate the symbiote, you can actually tell through the mannerisms of Peter or Miles. Whenever they activate that symbiote, you can tell something's overcome them, and they are a little bit different. I want to see someone get absolutely pissed. I want to see Peter or Miles lose it. Absolutely lose their self-control, lose everything. I want the symbiote to completely overcome them and really take the story in a deep, personal, honestly terrible type of way. I love Miles. I don't think anything will happen to him, and I don't want anything to happen to him, so I don't think he will die. But maybe Peter could. I don't want to see this either, but maybe Peter would die. Miles would get the symbiote. Seeing that would really, really change something within Miles. He could really get really angry for the first time and maybe almost kill whoever he's facing. Or maybe MJ could die from Venom or some other type of villain while Peter has the symbiote suit. Because we've heard Yuri Lowenthal, the voice of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. That would be really cool to see a performance from him. Just kind of scream, and not like the 90s cartoon. Ever seen that meme? I don't want to see that. That was hilarious. I want to see some real emotion, which we know Yuri Lowenthal can do. Either way, I want to see some real anger. And no one really has to die. We see tons of people close to Peter die in a Spider-Man movie, game, show. It happens all the time to Peter and Miles. But I just want to see some anger in some type of way, something to cause it, trigger it, but something that would be devastating. Next up is, this was something that I was hoping to see in the first game. Please, please, please let there be a low polygon version of the Spider-Man skin that was in the Nintendo 64 or PlayStation 1. I swear, I thought they were going to add that in. Kind of like how in Super Mario Odyssey, there is a Super Mario 64 skin or costume, whatever you want to call it, in that game. It's like a low polygon version. It looks exactly like the original game, but put in a newer game. I want to see that so very, very badly. Just if they could add any costume, personally for me, any new costume to the game, that's the only extra one that I want to see. It's just a low polygon version of that PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64 Spider-Man skin. One of the last few parts that I will mention for the story, for my hopes at least, new villains. Some more wacky ones. There were some pretty wacky ones in the first one that I did not think they were going to put in the game. Green Goblin was teased in the first game. It seems like the second game is pretty packed with Venom, Kraven, and maybe some other ones that we haven't seen yet. I doubt Green Goblin. Green Goblin is a pretty major villain. I doubt we'll see him in it. If we don't, love to see Lizard. I would love to see Mysterio. Mysterio is one of my most favorite villains. Mysterio is just one of my favorite villains, period. I would love to see him actually in the game, and you actually face him instead of him being referenced at a costume party or something like that. The last thing that I have, my last wish, my last hope for this game. I don't think this will ever happen. It's not even been rumored. There's never been a leak for it. I've seen some people speculate on it. Multiplayer. Some version of Spider-Man multiplayer. Made by Insomniac, specifically. If they were to do this, I don't think I would ever get anything done for the rest of my life. And I genuinely mean that. If Insomniac, with their quality, with the way that they have built the Spider-Man games so far, were to somehow implement multiplayer, like online multiplayer or local multiplayer, I just don't know what I would do. That would be insanely fun, hopefully. What I was thinking, for multiplayer at least, we're all kind of tired of seeing the Spider-Verse. I know Across the Spider-Verse is coming out this year. Very, very excited for that, but once we're done with that, I'm sure people are going to be kind of sick of seeing it. The only way I see multiplayer, like a mass multiplayer online type thing, working is with the Spider-Verse. If they were to somehow introduce the Spider-Verse, or maybe just disconnect it from the mainline Insomniac story so far and just make an Insomniac Spider-Verse multiplayer online game. You can choose your version of Spider-Man, Symbiote, The Amazing Bagman, Spider-Man 2099, like the different costumes you can choose, but the actual versions of those Spider-Men somehow come together, and maybe, I don't want it to be a battle royal, but fight. Maybe you can fight alongside them, different enemies, just some multiplayer where you actually get to play with different people who love Spider-Man just as much as you do, or they're just casually playing. That would be awesome to see. If I could choose anything from this list for them to actually do, it would be that. It would be multiplayer. I love playing the single-player games, don't get me wrong. I've spent hundreds of hours in those games, but some multiplayer, playing with other people, that would be incredible. That would be very, very incredible. Alright, that's that's pretty much all I have. This video went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I just really wanted to express my opinions and my hopes and dreams on this. I'm very, very excited for this game, if you can't tell. I would love to see and hear what everyone else's hopes and dreams are for this game. I love seeing different YouTube videos and seeing what other people think, so please put them down in the comments below what you hope to see. I love seeing what people are speculating, because everyone's mind works differently. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate taking your time out of your day to watch this. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.